The fork slipped from his hand and clattered against the porcelain plate. The CEO didn't notice. His eyes were locked on the small object sitting beside his untouched glass of water, a folded paper crane, creased carefully, deliberately, and written on one wing in uneven, childlike handwriting were 4 words that made his breath catch in his throat. For when you feel alone. Across the restaurant, the homeless family was already gone, and in that frozen moment, surrounded by polished marble floors, low music, and the quiet hum of wealth, Daniel Hayes, billionaire CEO of one of the largest tech firms in the country, felt something he hadn't felt in years. Seen. He hadn't planned on stopping that night. The dinner meeting had run long. Another acquisition, another set of numbers that looked impressive on paper and felt hollow in his chest. The restaurant was upscale, tucked into a corner of the city where people came to be noticed, not to disappear. Daniel usually ate alone. Tonight was no different. He was halfway through reviewing emails on his phone when he noticed movement near the entrance. Not the usual polished crowd. No suits, no laughter, no perfume-heavy confidence. A woman stood just inside the doorway, clutching a thin jacket around herself. Her hair was pulled back in a loose, messy bun. Her shoes were worn through at the soles. Beside her were 2 children, a boy no older than 8 and a little girl who couldn't have been more than 5. Both were painfully clean in that careful way that suggested effort, not ease. They didn't sit, they hovered. The hostess spoke quietly to them, her polite smile strained. Daniel couldn't hear the words, but he saw the woman nod too quickly, embarrassment coloring her face. They turned to leave. The boy glanced back once at the tables, the food, the warmth, and then quickly looked down. Something twisted in Daniel's chest. He told himself not to get involved. He had donated millions, funded shelters, signed checks that could feed families for months. He had done his part. But his eyes followed the children as they stepped back into the cold night, and suddenly the restaurant felt unbearably quiet. "Wait," Daniel said, standing before he could talk himself out of it. The hostess turned, surprised. "Please," he added, lowering his voice, "tell them dinner's on me. They can sit wherever they're comfortable." The hostess hesitated. "Sir, I insist." The woman turned back, confusion etched across her face. "You don't have to," she said quickly. "We were just looking." "I know," Daniel replied gently. "Please, join me. Or not, whatever makes you comfortable." The children stared at him with wide eyes. The little girl squeezed her mother's hand. "Mom?" she whispered. The woman swallowed hard. Pride warred with desperation. Hunger won. "Thank you," she said quietly. "We won't be any trouble." "You won't be, I promise." They sat at a table a few feet away, not too close, not too far. Daniel ordered enough food for all of them, simple things, nothing flashy. He didn't try to talk at first. He just watched. The children ate slowly, carefully, like they weren't sure the food was real. The boy kept glancing up, half expecting someone to tell them to stop. The woman, Sarah, he later learned, ate last. Daniel recognized that habit. Putting yourself last wasn't noble, it was survival. He cleared his throat. "I'm Daniel," she replied. "Sarah, these are my kids, Eli and Mia." "Nice to meet you," Daniel said, nodding to the children. Eli gave a shy nod back. Mia smiled openly. "Thank you for dinner," Mia said. "It's warm." Daniel smiled, surprised by the lump in his throat. "You are welcome." They ate in relative silence, but it wasn't awkward. It felt human. Daniel didn't ask questions, not at first. He had learned that people in fragile situations rarely needed interrogation. They needed dignity. Eventually, Sarah spoke. "We don't usually come places like this," she said softly, "but the shelter was full tonight." Daniel nodded. "That happens more often than it should." Her eyes flickered with surprise. "You know?" "I know enough," he said. Eli pushed his plate away, full now. He studied Daniel intently. "Do you live here?" the boy asked. Daniel paused. "No, not here." "Do you have kids?" Eli continued. Sarah started to shush him, embarrassed. "Eli!" "It's okay," Daniel said. He took a breath. "I had a son." Had. The word hung between them. Eli's voice softened. "Where is he?" Daniel stared at his hands. "He's not here anymore." Mia reached over and placed her small hand on the edge of the table, close to his. "I'm sorry," she said. Daniel felt his chest tighten. "So am I," he replied. That's when something shifted. Not pity, not charity, connection. When the meal ended, Daniel paid quietly at the front. When he returned, the family was standing. "Thank you again," Sarah said. "We should go." "Of course," Daniel replied. "But please, take this." He slid a card across the table. Not flashy, just enough to help. Sarah's eyes instantly filled with tears. "We can't," he said gently. "You can. No strings, no expectations." She hesitated, then nodded. "Thank you." The children waved as they left. Daniel sat back down, suddenly exhausted. He stared at the empty chairs, and that's when he noticed it. The paper crane, folded neatly, placed carefully beside his glass. He picked it up with trembling fingers. The words stared back at him. "For when you feel alone." Daniel's vision blurred. No one knew it. Not his board, not his assistants, not the countless people who thought power protected you from loneliness. But that child had seen it, somehow. He sat there long after the restaurant emptied, holding that small paper crane like it was something sacred. The next day, Daniel couldn't focus. Meetings blurred together, numbers meant nothing. He kept thinking about Eli's questions, Mia's smile, Sarah's tired eyes, and the crane. He made a decision. He didn't call his PR team. He didn't announce anything. He called the shelter. It took days to find them. When he finally did, Sarah was stunned. "I didn't expect to hear from you again," she admitted. "I didn't either," Daniel said honestly. "But I'm glad I did." They met for coffee, neutral ground. This time, Daniel listened. Sarah had lost her husband 2 years ago. Medical bills followed, then eviction, then the slow slide. Eli had started folding paper cranes after learning it at school. He made them when he was scared. Daniel swallowed hard. He offered help, not just money, stability, resources, time. Sarah was wary. "Why us?" Daniel met her gaze. "Because your son reminded me what it feels like to matter." Tears streamed down her face. Months passed. Sarah found work through one of Daniel's partner companies, flexible hours. The kids enrolled in school. Daniel didn't swoop in as a savior. He showed up as a human. He attended Eli's school play, Mia's first art show. The paper crane stayed on his desk, a reminder. One evening, as they sat together after dinner, Eli asked, "Are you still lonely?" Daniel smiled softly. "Not like I was." "That's good," Eli said. "You can keep the crane anyway." "I will," Daniel promised, and he meant it.